What's going on YouTube? JT Jaborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're talking about Absolute Power issue number 1. This one is written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora. This is the real beginnings of this Absolute Power event. I mean, technically, it kind of was prelude stuff and various tie-ins, but this is Absolute Power. This is issue number 1 of 4 of the main, comic book issues and all that. So this is being headlined by Mark Waid, who a very good writer. Batman Superman World's Finest has been the most consistently good book at DC. There's been no bad issues since that run began, and now this is Mark Waid kind of spearheading another event. The last time he did one was Batman versus Robin, which had its pros and cons. It's just kind of a lot of stuff what we've seen before, but this one actually has a pretty good first issue, I'd say. It's just a matter of, will they stick the landing? Do you really need to read the 100 million tie-ins? And, event fatigue is kind of, setting in for me and DC as a whole. So, I mean, on its own, good first issue. Fantastic artwork by Dan Mora. But also, if you've been reading so many DC the last few years, they have just gone overboard with so many events that I can't really muster up much excitement for it. So I'm more so looking forward to when Absolute Power is kind of finished. But in the meantime, hopefully it's a really good, strong couple of issues. So we get the issue, like I said, opens up with the preview we've seen in several other issues. Superman getting shot, his powers are kind of failing him. Amanda Waller has basically been working in the shadows for a couple of years now, kind of leading to this particular event. Now she has control of the BRAINIAC QUEEN, she has Failsafe, and she's been manipulating things all across the 100 or so DC books that we've been coming out the past couple of months. And I mean, if you're this is kind of like the culmination of all that. I'm tired of seeing Amanda Waller, but now her plan is into fruition. So basically what happens is all the heroes, Amanda Waller basically utilizing the BRAINIAC QUEEN, creates artificial images to frame the Justice League for committing all sorts of atrocious acts. The Justice League realize that this is clearly not true. Even places that don't want to run this stuff, like Lois Lane, the Daily Planet, that's been taken over by her BRAINIAC QUEEN software and all that. So the White House, of course, is disowning the actions of Amanda Waller, but Amanda Waller is basically utilizing this. She's created an army of Amazo bots to basically suck the powers and abilities from the Justice League, basically depowering them all, including characters like John Kent, Superman, and all sorts of other characters involved. And she's like, there are no way out of this. You have no choice. You're going to lose, basically. So she's taking all the powers of the Justice League, and then the heroes are basically kind of lured out when they see all the fake artificial images of themselves causing all sorts of destruction. The people have now turned on them. Batman realizes it's a little too late, that this is just kind of a trick to kind of lure the heroes out in order to unleash the Amazos. And basically, like I said, everyone's depowered. Characters like Constantine forget their magics. You can't use the Speed Force. You can't go into the timelines or anything like that. You can't travel the multiverse. The planet has been kind of sealed off. You have no way out. You have no powers. They basically thought about every possible contingency to kind of make this event happen. So I like when they cover all the different bases about that, because when you think, oh, well, what about this? What about that? No, we got you covered right there. We got this covered. We got this covered. We got this covered. So the heroes are basically screwed. Green Arrow, of course, is working for Amanda Waller at this point, which I still say, kind of shady right there. I'm sure he's going to betray her at some point. Honestly, the best way to kind of end this event is to have Green Arrow basically shoot Amanda Waller with an arrow and just get rid of the character altogether, so we don't have to see her anymore. Because after this whole event, I'm like, I am Amanda Wallered out. I'm like, get rid of the character, kill her off. I know she's got the TV show coming out, but you know what? I think most fans would be thankful, because I generally just don't like Amanda Waller. I mean, in the sense that you're supposed to dislike her. I'd like to see her basically just kind of get killed off by the end of this event. But anyway, so all that's going on. Heroes are depowered, and then basically kind of the end of the comic book is John Kent has now become this own new version of Cyborg Superman of sorts. He has no memory. He's now got all these cybernetic enhancements. He doesn't remember who he is. Kind of a little bit like RoboCop, falling in the line of duty. But now he's got all these mechanisms kind of attached to him, right? He doesn't remember who he is. He's got kind of this almost Terminator-like vision. Like I said, very, very RoboCop-esque right here. And that's actually kind of an interesting bit, which I didn't really expect too much going into this thing. But I'm sure it probably won't be permanent. But if it is, then, well, at least they're doing some new stuff with the character, I suppose. So, but yeah, let me go ahead and talk about the positives. Dan Mora's artwork is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the man does not miss. the best artist at DC right now. Every book he draws is just spectacular, and getting all these different characters like sprinkled in throughout this thing, like the art never suffers. The quality is extremely high. The action bits are great. Every character is drawn, and they all look fantastic. Dan Mora just does not miss when he's drawing this stuff, and I guess he's a pretty quick artist because like the quality never suffers, and despite how many pages are within this comic book here. So they definitely you do feel the stakes for sure with this one. I mean, the way it's kind of orchestrated, like, because when I think of a lot of these events, like, why doesn't so-and-so do this or do this? I feel like they really have kind of covered all the different bases because, you know, Mark Waid has a good knowledge of the DC universe as a whole, been writing comics for a long time, thought of pretty much every possible outlet to kind of like, you know, oh, we're going to use the Speed Force, we're going to do time travel and all this other stuff. No. You're basically this. We've thought of every way around that circumstance, but I'm sure they'll find some means to kind of get out of it at some point. But basically, like I said, pretty much all the bases are covered. There is the commentary, of course, of, you know, controlling the media to kind of manipulate the masses and such. That's stuff that's kind of been done for many, many years. I think a prime example of that is the movie The Running Man, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, is what I immediately come to with that situation with them, you know, controlling the media and basically deep fake technology to kind of like trick people into thinking all this stuff that kind of happens. Like that's been going on since the 1980s. And of course, like I said, if you control the media, you control the narrative and such. And that's just kind of stuff that's just been going on for many years. So that's basically some of the commentary right there. And of course it does talk about some of the dangers of like AI generated images. There's a lot of concern about all that stuff, especially with new like softwares out there. And that's even something I kind of worry about. Like somebody could use that to basically frame somebody for a crime, and like what are the like dangers and repercussions of all that like happening. So that's, like I said, I thought that was kind of interesting too. So John now basically becoming kind of like a RoboCop of sorts, like type character. Not in the sense that he really is just RoboCop, but just kind of similar things happen. Got badly injured, now kind of wakes up with like cybernetic like enhancements, like robot eyes and stuff like that. That'll be kind of interesting. I mean, I'm somebody who kind of like lost interest with John Kent as a character the past couple of years post the Brian Michael Bendis stuff. So this one, at least they're doing something a little bit different with him. I mean, and is it good? Is it bad? I don't know yet. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But like at this point, I'm just like, you can kind of just do whatever with the character. I genuinely kind of lost interest in them after all the stuff that DC has kind of done, to the point where I'm like, I just don't even recognize this character anymore. And like whatever stuff happens, I'm just like, yeah, that just kind of happened. So, but in terms of a first issue for this event, I thought it was pretty solid. It's only going to be 4 issues long, at least the main Absolute Power stuff. You got like Task Force 7 coming out. You got all these 100+ tie-ins or whatever. I'm not going to read every single one. There'll be some that are connected to books I'm already covering on the channel, so expect videos on that. But I'm just going to try to stick to kind of the main Absolute Power stuff, because DC has just gone overboard with too many events in the last couple of years, and you don't really need to read all of them. But I do think the stakes here are pretty good, and I think the tension's there. There's some definitely memorable bits for sure, especially the opening with Superman getting shot and just kind of fading. Like, that's a good hook to kind of start the story. And I think this one has potential to be pretty good. I actually liked House of Brainiac. The ending, you know, could have been a little bit stronger, but that was pretty good. But it was still kind of undercut by the fact that that was just kind of a setup mostly to kind of lead into Absolute Power. I mean, we've just been building up to this one Absolute Power event for the past few years at this point, with Amanda Waller kind of in the shadows, and, you know, Dark Crisis kind of leading to this, kind of leading to that, kind of leading to that. So after this, I think DC really needs to take a break from events. I think we've kind of overdone them a little bit too much. I hope that after this, we kind of get a relaunch of the Justice League and a few other books on the horizon. So I know we're going to get some new creative teams starting in September for a lot of different titles at DC, so we'll see how that kind of goes. But in terms of a first issue, I thought Absolute Power, for the most part, worked pretty well. There's some great action in there. There's some memorable bits. You feel the stakes within the first issue, and it's intriguing to see which direction they can kind of go in with this thing. I know there's going to be a bunch of tie-ins, and I'll read some of them because they're already connected to books I've been covering on the channel. But as a whole, like, I'm like, okay, this is a good first issue. Is it the best thing I've read? No. Am I going into this thing a little bit jaded, a little bit kind of tired of events with all that stuff? Yeah, so Did it really like wow me? No, not necessarily. But is it a solid like issue kind of on its own? Yeah, I think it is a solid issue on its own. No real major complaints in the sense that like from a story structure and the stuff that specifically happens within this issue, it's just there's definite event fatigue at DC Comics for me personally, and I'm just kind of like, I'm so tired of Amanda Waller at this point, and I'm just gonna feel relief when she's kind of out of the picture. So yeah, there's some good stuff in here, and now that the heroes are kind of depowered and you really feel the stakes and tension there, let's see how they kind of get out of this situation and where DC goes from here post this event. So what did you think of Absolute Power #1? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. I will see you all later on. I got Batman issue 150, and then I think I got the Boy Wonder issue 3 for this week. So look out for that stuff. All right, well, that's all I have to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.